I think this 2-5 phrase from Bud Powell might just be perfect, so I'm going to show you how it works. I just heard it today and I'm really excited about it. Here's the phrase. So the thing we do differently here is it's not just about what are the notes, how can you play it, have you now got a lick and you still can't really improvise. It's about studying Bud Powell and studying how this works and emulating rather than only copying. Now, if this comes into your playing, perfectly fine. But I'm okay if I never play this phrase, but I understand more and have more experience with the ingredients that are in this phrase. And that's how I keep furthering my playing, and that's how my students and members do it on Jazz Skills as well. So let's see what's going on. Well, first of all, we have a bar per chord, right? The C major would really last for 2. It's just been cut off in the little transcription I did. So we'd have D minor 2, 3, 4, G7 2, 3, 4, C major 2, 3, 4, either another one or something else. And then we might go back, whatever. So what he's done is this. He's got his normal surround notes in there, also known as enclosures. Enclosing or surrounding the 5th of D minor, I'll play full chords in the left hand just to show that. Triple it. This time he puts a half step below that same A, goes down a D minor triad, surrounds or encloses this B, jumps up to the top note of a diminished. I teach this diminished on G7 all the time. I'll link something below. And an exit note for C major. Now we're going to get deeper into that, so stay with me. You see, if we take out all those sharps and flats, let's just do it now. So let's say this one, and these two. What we'll end up with is basically the C major scale because we've taken everything else out, right? Let's see what it sounds like if I can do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you might think that's a nothing phrase if I played it without all those notes. So what's really a masterclass here is how Bud Powell is using those enclosures and extra half steps to land on chord tones on the beat. For example, 1 and 2, and 1 triplet, 2 and 1. That's an extension of G7. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So he's put a G7 note on the beat. And the exit note, C major on the beat, right? So just after those more tense notes, we get a chord note there. We get an extended chord note there. We get a chord note there. And we get a chord note there. Just beautiful. And that's how emulating this stuff can give us so much freedom. So let me just play that through one more time. And what I'll do now is I will see how I can start to vary it to give myself more freedom. Now, this doesn't mean that I don't like Bud Powell's phrase. I love it. But I'm okay if I never play this live. And I'm always saying this to members on Jazz Skills. It's okay if you never end up playing that phrase live, as long as you've studied how enclosures work and use them enough to get freedom in your playing that they begin to come out in your playing. What we're doing that's different here is we're not just taking a lick and trying to play it in all 12 keys and then trying to use it. Fine, you can do that. However, what gives more freedom is if you start to approach the ingredients from all sorts of different angles so that you have freedom in your playing and you're training yourself as an improviser, as a composer in real time, which is what improvisation really is. If you're enjoying this, please give this video a like, hit the subscribe button, notification bell so you know when there's new content. And if you got something good to say, please leave a positive comment. All these things help to push this video out to more people on YouTube. And if it's time to level up your playing, then come and see us on Jazz Skills. More about that at the end. For now, let's get back to the lesson. Okay, well, the first thing I'm going to do is just what I always love to do, really. Cut off that first note. Let's see how that sounds. Because we'll end up practicing not having everything on the first beat all the time. And we're also going to learn, can we still hear the rest of the phrase and keep it intact? It's harder than it seems. I see students struggle with this. So do give it a try and don't just hear it and go, yeah, that's okay. Actually work on it in your own playing. Okay, here goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Fine. Okay, let's take the next one off as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So I'm hearing the rest of the phrase, but I'm also doing something that people often don't do, which is thinking about components, thinking about the enclosure going up the scale. There's a triplet, come down a D minor chord, surround the third of G7, jump up to the diminished and come down, and also using your ears as well. I wonder what happens if we cut off one more note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3 triplet, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. If you can train yourself to count as you play like that, your rhythm skyrockets. Most people find that incredibly difficult to do, to the extent that they're convinced they can never do it. It's not true. I remember many years ago, I had a rhythm crackdown with my students, and really made every student count something they played in a lesson. Now, at the beginning of those lessons, for virtually all of them, I think, to be honest, for all of them, it seemed like an impossibility. But we persisted with it, and by the end of a lesson, every student could do that. It's just thinking differently and starting to think about where you are as you're playing. Essential for improvisation. One of the core and most important skills that doesn't really get talked about much. You see all these things about copying licks and phrases and cool ideas, but what about the skill set that we need? That's what we're training. The next thing I'm going to work on from this is the diminished part. Remember I said this is the bottom note and top note of of B diminished, which goes with G7 to extend it to a 1, 3, 5, 7, flat 9. But there are many benefits of thinking about this diminished that go beyond the scope of this lesson, but inverting is one of them, right? Easy to invert a diminished. If you say G7 flat 9, how are you going to invert that? Put the G at the top? Well, there's not much point in that, really, is there? So knowing the diminished is very useful. So that's how he got out of the diminished. That's how Bud Powell did it. Fine. What if I jumped from the bottom and only skipped one note and came to this note? Then I would have to exit on the C major chord note there, right? Okay, I quite like that. Then the next inversion like this would be, because I'm skipping the F, because that would be D diminished, bottom note, skip note, the note we want. Then the equivalent on F. Now to jump down, I guess we'd have to land on some sort of C6. And then the last one would start on A flat, come out on C. Not my favorite exit, little uninteresting, but that's the practice. Okay, so let's see if any of that can be included with this actual phrase, let alone with other playing. Let's see if I can do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fine. You know, another thing we could do is, instead of jumping from the bottom to the top, that note could go down here, no problem, different direction. Takes us to this exit again anyway. Let's try that. And by doing all these different things, I feel I'm getting a stronger grasp on the phrase in the first place, because I'm taking it from different angles. Of course, we can put it in different keys and do all that stuff as well. Finally, let's combine two of these elements. How about if we cut out the first note and then change something about the diminished? I don't know what it will be yet. Again, I don't think Bud Powell's beautiful phrase needs improvement. I think I need improvement in terms of how I can study from this rather than just copy it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Fine. Okay, so we cut off the first note. This note got cut. 1 and 2 and 3 triplet down the chord. Extra note there, down the chord. Only up this far to the diminished. And the exit. So there's always something you can learn from a beautiful phrase like that. There's always skills inside it that we can keep mastering. And it's those skills we take with us, not just the phrase. If you want to skyrocket your improvisation, then come and see me on Jazz Skills, where we've got a real experience for you. And even if you want to get your playing up to the level where you're fluent with tunes, we have a developing fluency course for you. Skills in order, things to practice, tracks to work with, tunes to learn, all the language and chord progressions we use in jazz standards, voicings, improvisation, Barry Harris style chord movements, accompany, all kinds of things. There's help from me as well, and a vibrant community of like-minded people. Hope to see you there. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.